One, a two, a one.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
And welcome to Better Horses Radio. I'm your host, Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And in this episode, we're going to pack it through a lot of equine information coming your way. Merle, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm cold. I'm ready for spring, but, this is part of living in the Midwest.
Yeah, welcome aboard. So coming up on this show, we have professional horse trainer Cal Middleton. Now, he's a successful horse trainer, and he has the great business of understanding the show horse world, and he's coming from the Delta Q Stables in Smithville, Missouri.
And up next is Jacob Greenleaf, the Director of Operations at War Horses for Veterans. Jacob is a Marine Corps veteran who served from 2008 to 2017. After being medically retired from a helicopter crash, Jacob now uses his passion for horsemanship to positively impact veterans' lives while continuing his own journey with horses.
You know, it is amazing how great these horses are being able to use through any of the veterans and first responders out there.
Was it Winston Churchill that said there's something good, the outside of the horse that's good for the inside of man? I think
there you go. Well quoted. Well quoted. And wrapping up the show, we're going to have Rhonda Martin from Equine Mechanics. And she's a performance horse consultant. And you know what, Merle? She's going to talk about all the new technology that we have available to us at our fingertips that really drive home the performance horses.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what she's on the leading edge of, soundness, and I'm really curious to see what new things are coming up.
You know, it's going to be really exciting. Well, coming up right now, we have our Better Cattle segment with our very own Mark Oppold. Mark?
Well, Ed, this is the first full trading week in the last 3 weeks, and we have another holiday shortened week coming up next week. So it really does interrupt trade here, especially Christmas and New Year's that came right in the middle of the week. A lot of folks commented on that really the whole week was really a lost week. And then we have, of course, last week, the President Carter funeral and a day of mourning, rightfully so. But again, we have a full week this week, but then next Monday is Martin Luther King holiday and, of course, Inauguration Day as well, and that is going to interrupt markets here as well. We look at the live cattle futures here. April live cattle at $200 or above may see some selling resistance from here, with June $5 to $6 below that. In August, although way out there to the third quarter, $8 to $9 below where the April would be at the $200 level. We're keeping an eye on the dairy industry. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago the dairy industry was shy about 1 million head of replacement heifers, according to the on-feed numbers. Some stated that there might be starting a turn back to producing dairy cows over the current beef dairy cross. Well, after some investigation really and looking at this, we think it's highly unlikely for the dairy industry to rebuild the herd. And two really standout reasons: more money for milk that they're getting right now and more money for that dairy beef animal. Unlike the beef industry, it appears to be, chomping at the bit to expand. Dairymen, in our view, are believed they're making money like they haven't in many years with elevated milk prices, and looking at what they're getting for these beef dairy cross animals. So the beef industry, we think, looking longer term, expected to mirror what happened the 2015-2020 time frame, when increased production sent prices into a multi-year lower market. Some say, well, this time might be different. We don't have any idea why things would change that much this time around as well. So keep that in mind. Again, April live cattle above 200 may see some selling resistance. March feeder cattle, likewise, above 272, 272 and a half. We think we'll see some selling pressure, although when you look at feeder cattle, January will help that situation as it nears that 274 level. And, and finalizing here, beware the Ides of February here this week. Now, it doesn't have the same ring as beware the Ides of March, but this is an important week on Wall Street especially. Federal Reserve Beige Book on Economic Activity released this week by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, publishing the December Consumer Price Index this week. That followed the Consumer Price Index earlier. And then Wall Street traders expect no rate cut on the 29th when the Federal Reserve concludes their meeting here in January. In fact, nearly all are bracing that there might not be any rate cuts until December. If then, there was some hope that there would be a 25-point rate cut in June, and now that's given less than a 40% chance of that happening as well. So all these things in keeping in mind here as we move through the second half of January. I'm Mark Oppold, wishing you a profitable week ahead.
And appreciate that, Mark. Everything going on with the cattle industry is always being covered by Mark, and we appreciate all the efforts he has. Hey, you know what, Merle? I got to tell you, we've got a guy on board, and he's been on our show many times, but Kerry Kuhn from Medicine Lodge, Kansas, is going to give us our own Better Horses tip of the week.
Have you ever found yourself struggling to get your horse's attention? Struggling to get that horse to not be so distracted by anything and or everything that's going on around him? Well, I think a lot of times we get so focused on the specifics of what we want to teach this horse to do. Like we want to teach this horse how to lope a circle. We want to teach this horse how to stop, how to back up, how to turn around. We want to teach this horse how to be a rope horse. We've got specific disciplines that we want to involve ourselves in or participate in, and we lose part of the goal of teaching this horse how to redirect his mind or keep his mind focused on one thing. Okay, so we're dealing with an animal by God's design that is wired to notice everything that moves and makes noise. Everything that used to be in one spot, but now it's in a different spot. Same object, it's just sitting in a different place. Well, if you understand God's design in these animals, then you can, from the very beginning, you can develop this mindset in yourself that part of your training process is to give your horse as many opportunities as you can for their mind to be distracted, which then gives you the opportunity or the chance to teach that horse how to bring his mind back to you. I see people a lot of times, they get frustrated with their horse when their horse's mind kind of loses focus and goes somewhere else, but they miss the fact that that's the time that horse needs you the most. And it's just another instance or another opportunity for you to teach that horse how to stay focused. And if he loses focus, how to bring that focus back to you. So developing a mindset in yourself that says, I'm not just trying to teach this horse how to ride around. I'm not just trying to teach this horse how to be a rope horse or a ranch horse or a reining horse or a cutting horse or any of that. Maybe what I'm trying to do the most through whatever discipline I choose to participate in is give my horse lots and lots of repetition of redirecting their mind back to you. Okay, so we love to use a round pen that has open sides because I want my horses to know from the very beginning when they're around us that we're not the only option for them to focus on. We just want that horse to eventually look at us as the best option to focus on. So we give that horse a chance for his mind to wander, and then we help that mind come back, and we offer him a big release when it does. And pretty soon he says to us, I like how it feels when I'm with you, not just physically, but mentally as well. So he starts to have this inner dialogue with himself where he starts to turn loose of these distractions around him. And it's like he's putting more pressure on himself to stay focused on me and not act so instinctively as horses tend to do in the beginning. So just make sure you don't lose the fact that they're easily distracted. Give them lots of opportunity and repetition to work on that, and you'd be amazed at the focus and the attention that you can build in your horse.
Thank you, Carrie. And you can't also appreciate the thinking brain of a horse and how Carrie's really getting everybody to calm down. Check him out at carriekuhn.com. Appreciate him coming on board. All right, Merle, we got an exciting show and a packed show, so we got to get to it.
Yes. Don't touch that dial.
Okay, we'll be right back. I'm your host, Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hey, it's Alex Gold from Max Motors in Belton with their huge year-end heavy-duty sale. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. New 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee up to $13,000 off MSRP. Stock number S240367. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 1/2/25. And if you're looking for the max trade-in values in the Midwest, it's Max Motors, just a short drive to Belton. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses Radio. I'm your host, Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And Merle, one of the greatest parts about this job is we get to talk to all the professional trainers out there, and what a talent we have out there.
Yes, we're looking forward to this segment.
And you know what? This one is not going to disappoint because we've got professional horse trainer Cal Middleton. Now, Cal's built a successful horse training business, and he has a great understanding with the horse show world too. Now, Merle also, he's been training he has his own training business. He wins accolades and titles in numerous events such as reining, cow horses, cutting, and ranch horses. And what's really fascinating, and this is what I really like to talk about, he's worked with the top dressage trainers and he competed in the classical dressage. So I'm really excited to bring in this guy on board from the Delta Q Stables in Smithville, Missouri. Welcome, Cal Middleton. Hello, Cal.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on board. And you know what? I really got to see your whole evolution and how you've been working with horses for decades. I really like the idea that you're focusing in on two ideas, gaining knowledge and sharing knowledge, but you're as much a student as you are a trainer.
Yes, I've sure been accused of that, probably more so than a trainer a lot of times. And I'm actually down in Florida for the winter, and there's a mentor of mine that I've been learning from a lot down here, and I've always enjoyed learning, and I just don't feel like one lifetime's enough to learn all this stuff, and I just try hard to learn what I can and teach what I can help people with as well.
You have a lot of clinics going out there. One of the things that I want to tap in on, when people go to your clinics, what are the first things you're looking for, and what is the most common mistakes that you think are happening out there?
The things I'm looking for have evolved over the years. For sure, and I think that goes with a lot of professionals, a lot of people that have learned and kind of stay open-minded and try to keep learning. A lot of the mistakes that I see really is people don't get their horse in a good mental place before they start trying to train their horse. They might start in with some physical things like the horse has to do this and this, but they don't really have the horse in the mood yet. They don't really have the horse mentally prepared to do some of those things. So that's something that we tend to focus on a lot in the clinics. But then the other mistake that I probably see would be the other side of that coin, would be the people that And I've sure done this some, and I know a lot of people that have. It's easy to fall into this trap where we spend a lot of time getting the horse mentally prepared, and then a couple of years later, that's all we have. But we haven't done the physical part of training the horse's body biomechanically and getting him in the right shape to do the things that we want. So it's a tough balance to find it, and I'm always trying to learn it and trying to help people with it too.
Well, and Cal, I noticed, you studied under Peter Campbell or with Peter Campbell for quite a bit. How did he transform, what some of your views were to what you evolved to now?
Sure. Peter was a big staple of mine for a long time, and there's a lot of good information that I gained from being around him and other people like him as well. Just trying to get a little deeper thought or a deeper feeling of what's going on inside the horse and what's going on inside the horse's brain, and kind of how to get that horse to settle mentally and how to get a horse in that calmer state of mind and how important that can be. And there's been a lot of people since then, and I know there's people I'm working with now, and I'm actually down here studying with Martin Black right now in Florida, and then my friend Frank Barnett's just down the road, and I've been learning from Frank quite a bit. And there's so much also that you can add to that mental state of mind, just trying to get those horses physically, biomechanically right, getting the horses straight and keeping the horses straight, not overbending them too much, which is an easy thing that we all get into, and using the horse's hindquarters, and some of those things are just really keeping the horse balanced while they're in motion is a pretty tough deal to do.
You've been doing this for decades here, and one of the things I'm watching is not only is you really expanding your clinics, but not only domestically, but there is rumors out there that you're traveling internationally. Is that true?
Sure. I've been going overseas quite a few years now. I've been to Europe a handful of times, and I was just in Australia. We had a big colt starting down there in Australia this fall, and got to go a few other places. And yeah, I've been pretty fortunate to meet a lot of great people around the world, and be able to go not only work there and teach, but also try to find places to learn and try to get a lot of that stuff done in a lot of places. And it's been a lot of fun.
Well, you've been doing your clinics for quite some time now, and especially like through your apprenticeship program. What do you enjoy most about helping others learn about their horse?
It's really interesting where different people come from and the different aspects that people have. I mean, some people show up at a clinic and I can just tell right away that they need confidence in their horse, and their horse needs confidence in them, and they're just lacking that idea that you can trust each other a little bit. So I really try to work on letting them have a little more trust in each other, and trying to do some exercises or some getting them on the mindset of hey, get to a deeper level of connection here where you can trust your horse and they can trust you. And then the other side of it, sometimes if somebody will come in and maybe they've been kind of a young horse trainer type, which I can relate to, and maybe they've been too hard on their horse. Maybe they're coming at it from the angle of, this sorry SOB, he's not doing what I want. I need to get after him and kind of make him do this and make him do that. And sometimes with those folks, I'm trying to back everything off a little bit and kind of, confidence isn't the problem there. They have a little overconfident. It needs to be a little bit more, relaxed atmosphere.
Sure.
So it just depends on what people are coming from, and I try to figure out what they need the most to help them with.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Cal Middleton at Cal Middleton Horsemanship. You can check him out at calmiddleton.com. Cal, let's talk about the foundation, and more importantly, let's talk about colt starting. This is going to be something we're all getting geared up for, and Road to the Horse is coming in. We get to see a lot of professionals go that direction. What's your start when you go to colt starting? Do you do a lot of clinics there, or do you do it's really serious and it's dangerous work. You got to be really careful on getting that started.
Sure, I do. I offer a lot of colt starting clinics, and I do those. In fact, I think coming up in Missouri in April, we've got a colt starting clinic for 4 or 5 days. I usually do one up there every year. And just like I said, I just did the one in Australia. We started about 20 colts in about 5 days. And you're right. It is and can be a dangerous thing. And what we're trying to do is help people eliminate that risk. There's a lot of, we all know horses can be dangerous. That's kind of why we do this training thing, where we try to get them in a better frame of mind so they're safer for us to ride. But what I'm really trying to do in my goal starting clinics are trying to help people get to maybe a little deeper level, you might say, or maybe just try to be more efficient about keeping themselves safe and letting the horses know they can feel safe. We all know that horses can be dangerous, but really we are in the most danger when the horses feel like they're in danger. So if we can get the horses to feel safe, we are actually more safe ourselves. And that's really what I'm trying to do in the colt starting clinics. But I do a lot of colt starting clinics, and I enjoy that part of it.
Well, Cal, shifting gears just a little bit here for a Better Cattle's fan out there, is I know your grandparents were very active in the Brangus Association. How has that helped shape some of your horse endeavors? Did you work a lot of cows on horseback growing up, or how did that impact your horse career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked about that. We actually did work a lot horseback when I was growing up. My grandparents had a ranch in central Missouri. My grandfather kind of traveled the world a little bit, kind of talking about and teaching his passion too, which was the Brangus cattle. And we did do a lot of work horseback with the cattle in Missouri, not as much as I do now on some of the ranches I go work at and stuff, but we gathered them horseback, and that's kind of where I first got the passion for riding horses. And, I was down there with my mom, and it was my mom's family, my mom's dad and mother, and then, my brothers and my cousins and more family and uncle and aunts, and they were all there, and we'd ride and gather cattle and do all that stuff and start colts a little bit. And I always enjoyed that. And that's kind of what got me hooked on it in the first place. And now I've kind of gone a little bit, you might say, full circle. I kind of got into the horse training thing for a while after college, and I did a lot of that. And like you guys announced earlier, and, I showed a lot and did a lot of those things. But then I kind of got back going out and working on ranches. And I went out west in Nevada and Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and I kind of work on ranches now, and I do a lot of cowboying a little bit in the summer, and I day work quite a bit, and I just try to go to brandings, and I'm trying to learn how to rope, and I'm trying to get a little bit more back to some of the ranching roots, you might say, that I started with, and trying to kind of piece all of it together.
That's getting more and more popular as we talk about cattle and horses together and understanding their flight zone and balance point. You're actually opening up some of your clinics with cattle, or have you started that yet?
Oh yeah, you bet. I've been doing clinics with cattle for a long time, and yeah, most clinics I go to, most of my clinics, I have about 3 classes I offer, and it'll be like a horsemanship or a foundation, depending on what the people ask for there. And then it'll be like a stockmanship, cattle working, and then either a colt starting or an introduction to ranch roping. And those are the typical classes that I kind of offer. And we usually do 3 of them per clinic. And so the stockmanship class is kind of what I call it, where we're doing a lot more practical cattle working rather than like the arena games, where like the sorting and cutting and things. Not that that's something we wouldn't do at times, of course, but I try to stick to things that are trying to help people understand a little more cattle psychology and like how we might move the cattle, how we could herd them, working them out of a roe deer, getting them set up to rope, and some things like that.
Again, we're talking to Cal Middleton at Cal Middleton Horsemanship. You can check him out at calmiddleton.com. And I think your clinic schedule is already out on the website, so we encourage everybody to look at that. Cal, is there another way they can look at you, or do you refer everybody to your website?
The website's kind of the mothership there. You can find my schedule for 2025. There will be some more clinics added later in the year, and a couple else. We just haven't got all of them on there yet. And then, of course, I have Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff that you need to have today. But you can find it Cal Middleton Horsemanship on Facebook, and you can always send me an email or get on my website and contact me through there.
All right. Well, we know you're coming back to Missouri in April and in August. That's actually smart. And you're in Florida in February. So I think you really figured out this clinic thing really well. I think Merle and I are going to practice our roping before we get into your clinic, because I don't want to get spoiled on that one. So, Cal, listen, I want to thank you for joining us. Yeah, we're gonna look forward to your clinics. We're going to have the Better Horses TV team out there too to get you on board with our TV show, if you don't mind. Notice how I did that live on the broadcast, so you can't say no to us. So that's
can't say no when you ask.
Yeah. So I appreciate you joining us. Hey, Cal, thanks again for coming to us from Florida. We appreciate everything you're doing, and we wish you all the luck of the world.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone, I want you to stay with us. We have more Better Horses coming our way with Rhonda Martin and Jacob Greenleaf from the War Horses for Veterans. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages. And welcome back to Better Horses Radio. We appreciate you joining us as we talk all about the equine world and everything that we have that's a lot of fun. Merle, thank you for joining me this week.
Oh, yeah. Pleasure to be here again.
And if I didn't mention it, this segment is brought to you by the Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, and they are doing some marvelous things out there. So check them out at vet.kstate.edu. And you know what, Merle, we just got through talking about trainers, and we have a lot of professionals coming on board, but we're going to do something a little bit different here. We're going to bring on board Jacob Greenleaf. He's going to be the director of operations, but be the operations in the ranch itself. And we're going to be talking about war horses for veterans. And Jacob Greenleaf, he's a Marine Corps veteran. He served in the infantry from 2008 to 2017, and he was medically retired. And he'd sit there, and he's gone through a lot of things. We'll talk about his helicopter crash, but he's also the director of the equine management there at War Horses for Veterans. I don't think we have enough appreciation of what horses can do for veterans and first responders, so we're bringing him on board. So everyone, welcome Jacob Greenleaf. Jacob, welcome to Better Horses.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, Jacob, thanks to you for coming. Now, War Horses for Veterans, located in Kansas City, has done some really fascinating things, and more importantly is just fundamentally what they do is just gain confidence in learning how to communicate with, you know, these 1,000-pound animals. Walk us through some of your experiences of what you're doing out there.
Well, I was a participant first to bring this full circle. I got out of the Marine Corps, and a friend invited me out to War Horses, and it was probably 2019. And I attended a short 3-day clinic out here. It's an empowering tool that I think is very underutilized. I think growing up around horses, I feel like I took it for granted in comparison to what I know today and how they help the veterans and first responders we still serve.
So the War Horses philosophy is to break down face the fears of everybody out there, but these guys are kind of vulnerable, and you're putting them in front of the very vulnerable horses. What's your training program, and how do you get them started to introduce them to the equine world?
So our program is now a week long. We fly everybody in, and then on day one, we start in the round pen on the ground. And we just start working different horses with different personalities, really, around the round pen. And it breaks the ice with the individuals that we bring in, and they see just how vulnerable those horses are. They're able to use their body language instead of their words, essentially to convey a message to that horse. And from there, we work into riding bareback and then eventually into the saddle throughout the week.
Well, and Jacob, you know, what are some of the challenges that the veterans commonly face, and how does working and riding with horses help them overcome those?
There's a multitude. Obviously, you know, the hot topic is PTSD, PTS, anxiety, depression, and I think a lot of veterans and first responders kind of lose their faith in a lot of personal connections to each other. And so using an animal that can't talk back and using that in a way to bridge the gap of communication, I think is the biggest hurdle, but also one of the best things that we get done here at War Horses is bridging the gap for communication. And they start realizing that the little things that they do can help change the conversation that they're having with, whether it's their wife, their kids, their mom and dad, brothers and sisters. I mean, it's a whole thing there.
You know, I'd like to use you as a case study if we could. We'll talk about your military and your infantry days from 2008 to 2017. You were medically retired from a helicopter crash. Can you kind of walk us through what happened with your experience?
Yeah. So, I joined the Marine Corps in 2008 and spent most of my time on the West Coast at Camp Pendleton. And then in 2014, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I was with a unit out there. And we were doing some nighttime training, and the helicopter stopped flying. So we were doing some rappels. Yeah, we were doing some rappels off the ramp of the helicopter, and it lost power, and so they cut all power and kind of lawn darted into the ground. And so I spent a very long time at Intrepid Spirit, which is the Traumatic Brain Injury Center, and then I spent about 2 years in Wounded Warrior Battalion within the Marine Corps, both in rehab also and in transition to getting out of the Marine Corps.
And how did you phase that into War Horses for Veterans? How did that personally help your experience?
It helps me every day. Yeah, it helps me every day. I'll say both personally, there's experiences here, and it helps me with how we can help people through this. Reliving my past in a lot of ways has helped me make it through the challenges that I have with my wife and kids in the same context as a communication. Getting out of the Marine Corps, I was pretty shut off. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. It was kind of, I didn't choose to get out of the Marine Corps. Something chose it for me. And so being here helped me gain the confidence back and also helped me communicate better. It helped me calm myself down. Horses are very calming in their nature in a lot of ways. There's also some that aren't, but generally speaking, all the ones we have here are pretty calm and easygoing. I'll say as well, being here, you can push the envelope, and that's something that I missed a lot. I missed the adrenaline. I missed the excitement in a lot of ways. And so we've built a barn of horses here that are from the cow horse industry. They're from the cutting industry. They're from the roping world as well. And so our goal throughout the week-long program is by the end of the week, these participants have the confidence to hop on a cow horse and maybe they track a live steer around the arena. And we're talking about just in 1 week. Usually at the end of the week, they are also tracking the Helimatic training dummy, behind the side-by-side and stuff. So the options are limitless, and we have such a great barn of horses that still have a lot of fire and life to them, but also are just some of the best that I've ever been around. And I think that that's what's helped me in the horsemanship side of things as well.
And Jacob, if there's one message out there you could share with veterans that are maybe listening to this and struggling to find their next step, what would you tell them?
Oh man, there's always somebody out there that wants to help. There's always somebody out there. You just got to be willing to take the help. Number one. And number two, I struggled a lot, and I have a brother that's actually struggling a lot right now with the transition out of the Marine Corps. My brother was a Marine as well. And just the mentality of I got this and I can handle this situation and don't worry about me, I've got it all on my own is kind of a common mentality, I think, across the military. And that's one thing we're trying to build here as a community to help the transition. We've created a new site it's called War Horse Network, and it's a site to help with the transition out.
It's an unbelievable cause that you guys are doing this. We're talking to Jacob Greenleaf for War Horses for Veterans. He's the director of operations. He's also the ranch manager out there. And Jacob, this is a nonprofit organization, so you guys rely on donations. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you guys?
We have a website, warhorsesforveterans.org, WHFV.org. It'll take you to the same place. And on there's a donate tab. We are all across social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the big ones. We have LinkedIn, but you can just contact us there and donate there.
All right. Helping veterans and first responders. That's warhorsesforveterans.org. Check them out. Jacob, we want to thank you for joining us here on Better Horses. Anything to do with horses we'd like to be a part of, but we also would like to have you come on board and give us a progress of how the whole program's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, we've got more Better Horses coming your way. And coming up next, we have Rhonda Martin from Equine Mechanics. We're going to talk all about the equine bodyworks. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
From the farmer to the DIYer, the homeowner with a yard to mow to the landscaper with hundreds to mow, at Heritage Tractor, we are deeply committed to your unique needs. We're here for you, and we're here for the long haul. We're not just located here, but we're part of this place. Our John Deere equipment and highly trained staff empower you to turn dreams into reality. Whether it's tending to your fields, running a business, or enhancing your piece of paradise, and all the ways that matter, Heritage Tractor is here for you.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered Pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes the barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
Hey, it's Alex Gold from Max Motors in Belton with their huge year-end heavy-duty sale. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. New 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee up to $13,000 off MSRP. Stock number S240367. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 1/2/25. And if you're looking for the max trade-in values in the Midwest, it's Max Motors, just a short drive to Belton. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses. This turns out to be one of our best shows, Merle. Glad you could join us.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me back again this weekend.
You know, having Cal Middleton come on board from Florida is exciting. And, you know, the War Horses for Veterans is also exciting on what we can do with horses from a mental standpoint. I think that's very, very exciting. But more importantly, I think we're going to talk about something about body mechanics and talking about horses. And this segment is brought to you by the John Deere dealers and Heritage Tractor. Now, if you guys are looking for John Deere tractors and you're in Kansas, Missouri, or Arkansas, we encourage you to check out heritagetractor.com. Okay, Merle, now we got to talk about the mechanics of horses because, you know, horses can't tell us how they're feeling. I mean, you're a professional trainer, so you can kind of understand that.
Well, it'd be a lot easier if they could, but we have to rely on a lot of technology to figure out what's the cause of their behavior sometimes.
You know, and that's why we have our professionals coming on board. I'd like to introduce somebody from Equine Mechanics. Now, she's the founder of this company, and her name is Rhonda Martin, and she spent 25 years, or actually over 25 years, experiencing equine bodyworks, including 10 years in just therapy. So what we're really going to talk about is exactly how the horses move. And with me today, Rhonda Martin to Better Horses. Hello, Rhonda. Welcome to Better Horses.
Well, thanks for having me on, Ed. And good to hear from you again, too, Merle.
Same.
You know, you have a lot of experience here and you've done a lot of studies as far as the horse goes. And I wanted to ask you your ability and what the technology from an AI standpoint is providing us to really collaborate with the horses and how they move and how they feel when we're riding them.
Well, it's pretty exciting. And I look at my lifetime of living with horses and, 47 years and look at how we think about horses, how we utilize horses, how we breed horses, what we know about them, how everything has changed over the course of time. And it would be wonderful if horses could tell us how they felt. As horsemen, that's part of what we do, right? We have a feel for our horses, and we try and factor all those things in to our training and how we care for horses. If you're doing it for a living, a healthy, happy horse that can perform well, that's the name of the game. There's always left to the eye, right? The eye of the good veterinarian. Like if a horse is hurting or we can't figure out why their performance has declined, people had an eye for horses. And working on horses' bodies, I've always hoped that I've added a whole other dimension to that. My feel is saying tissue has a huge range for me, and I can feel something that's going to affect your horse's way of going, hopefully before it becomes an injury. Because tight tissue equals lack of range of motion, equals poor landing, equals potential, injury. It's the same for all athletes. So now I've been working with a veterinarian, and Beringer Ingelheim, he's a representative for them. He teaches for them. They invested in an app that was founded in Sweden called Sleip, SLEIP. And it utilizes video through an Apple device. Once you take the video, either straight line or a circle each way, and it can be done ridden as well, it uploads it to his account, and AI generates a super slow-mo video looking at over 100 points on the horse and generates data for us to look at and compare. So there's no eye, it's data that's been programmed in algorithms created by huge numbers of horses as they've developed this app, similar to Dr. Keegan at NU with the lameness locator. We have more and more technology coming out, and there are more apps coming out. They're not as sophisticated, but they're there to help people evaluate their horses and to see if something's happening that their eye can't perceive. And then you can go get that horse help. So I'm always collaborating with riders, trainers, veterinarians, farriers, and of course I do all the equipment fit too, right? I need to have a healthy horse. But what's coming out technology-wise is incredible in changing the scope of how I work on horses and help get them helped through collaboration.
I look at you as someone that is kind of the bridge between veterinarians and farriers and chiropractors and massage therapists and trainers. And you kind of like bridge all of that into an experience for the horse and making sure that everybody contributes to the performance of the horse, and how you've managed to wedge yourself in between all of these behavioral issues is really great. But you didn't start off that way. I think you started off as saddle fitting, and then you just moved and progressed your entire experience and your knowledge, correct?
Well, kind of. It started, I got horses again after college, and friends of mine did endurance and competitive trail riding, and I didn't have a horse. So they'd bring a horse for me to ride, but I would scribe for the veterinarians at those rides, and they have a whole score sheet, and they were evaluating the total horse, feeling everything, all the muscles, vital signs, all the legs, and then the horse had to do a mini lameness eval, trot out and back, circle each way. And then the horse was monitored throughout the ride, and if it was deemed that it was unsound, then it would be pulled from the ride. And I was fascinated by what they were feeling. And I already had a degree in anatomy and physiology, and they started teaching me. So it was my own little education doing that. And then when I moved and I started working on people's horses, I went to a school and I started doing horses at the rides. I was exposed to unique saddles, thoughts about how do you keep a horse sound over and over and over again, going 50 or 100 miles. And then that brought in the saddle fitting, brought me to Missouri and our saddle shop, and it's just kept evolving over time. I'm like, how do we do it better? And then the journey of horsemanship through my partner Freddie, and then Peter Campbell and Cal Middleton. Cal has added so much with his work with Stephen Peters and Martin Black on how horses self-regulate, or helping horses learn to self-regulate. I incorporate that into my body work as well. We need a total horse, right? That can think, relax, perform, stay healthy. It's incredible where we're at this point in time with technology and science.
Well, and Rhonda, you've specialized in identifying factors that contribute to performance loss and behavioral issues. What are some of the most overlooked causes of that?
Oh my gosh, since that's a great question, because people are like, well, why didn't we know about this before? Here is the key to all of that. Until we got diagnostic equipment, X-ray in the field that's digital now and can be enhanced with software, go to a university or a large vet clinic and you can have computed tomography, CT, or an MRI. We didn't know that some of these problems existed. So they were blamed back on the horses being resistant. A CT can see something that an MRI can't see. The digital films that we can take in the field now can show kissing spines in horses that have postural problems. And now the spinous processes are rubbing together and they're arthritic. We always knew these horses had sore backs. We thought it was just saddle fit, but it's how we ride them, how we shoe them. Now we can find it. And if you don't know it's there, you can't treat it. And most horses die without us knowing that they had a problem unless you do a necropsy or dig them back up. And that's exactly what some people have done. And we've learned about it. Now we know it's there. Now we can help them. And that's another part of technology that's dramatically changed in the last 5 years. And it changes how I work on the horses, right? I could feel it. We just didn't know where it was coming from.
Sure.
That's exactly right. If you're just joining us, we're talking to Rhonda Martin at Equine Mechanics, and she is truly a performance horse consultant who's got a lot of knowledge between all of the areas of the horse. Rhonda, I want to thank you for coming, but before you leave us, tell us if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or just get in touch with you of some kind, what's the best mechanism to use?
I have Equine Mechanics, spelled MECHANIX on Facebook. That's my professional page. Me, Rhonda Martin. They can always email me, rhondamartin63@gmail.com, or give me a call. So, yeah, I'm putting on some clinics this year. I'll be having some other horse owner workshops on how to identify body pain in your horse.
And I highly recommend this clinic. That's Equine Mechanics, and that's MECHANIX right there on your Facebook page. Rhonda, I want to thank you again for joining us here on Better Horses. As always, you bring us a lot of information that we don't know. And if there's one thing we take away here, there's a lot of changes that are going on as far as the technology goes.
Yes, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Rhonda Martin, everyone, from Equine Mechanics, and we appreciate her joining us on board.
Well, thanks again, Ed.
You know, it is amazing how much technology is driving us into the horse industry, and not knowing exactly how the horses are feeling is a real big cause when you're going into training.
She was talking about that app, and I'm like, genius, because it takes a lot of the human eye, like she was talking about. And you haul horses to vets and you do soundness and lameness exams, and to be able to quantify that, that's really cutting edge stuff right there.
Yeah, it's a game changer and gets you directed, and it saves you a lot of money. You're not sitting there guessing on everything. So that would be really an interesting program to watch. That was Rhonda Martin, and we appreciated her joining on board. Hey, listen, if you're listening to our radio show and you want to listen to it again and you're driving and you're doing chores and you're riding horses, we invite you to listen to Better Horses Radio on our podcast. We're now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Foxfire, Chrome, Echo, and YouTube. Merle, I think we got it covered.
We're covering a lot of bases. We're getting out there. Hey, I know I've been promising it for a couple of weeks, but the Better Horses Winter Edition is coming out, and there's a lot of great articles and tips for horses and riders alike in there.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. And you'll also get a chance to see our TV show if you haven't checked it out. RFD, it's airing on the Cowboy Channel. It's airing on streaming on Equus TV. If you missed all of that, see their encore on YouTube.
Ed, I want to give a special thanks to the team behind the scenes, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, our TV producer, Kelly Creech, and of course, all of our great sponsors.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody. But more importantly, we appreciate our listeners. And we want to thank you for joining us. And that kind of wraps us up for this week. I want you all to be good buckaroos and buckarettes and mind your mom and dads and be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.